Hello everybody and welcome back to Let's Race with Cone. Today is going to be the first time I'm doing an endurance race. It's an 80-minute race at Watkins Glen in the Grand Am Series in the Mclaren, which we're getting a little bit more familiar with. If you watched the practice qualifying episode, you'll see that this track is something I'm pretty familiar with. So here we are on the grid. Qualified second in this group, but unfortunately, although there was about 12 cars in GT, only about 5 qualified. It's kind of one of those pet peeves of mine. It really drives me nuts when people choose not to qualify before these races, because it gets everything all jumbled up. You got people that are super fast in the back and super slow like me in the front. Overall, I'm pretty excited going into this race. I was thinking that being very comfortable at this track, that I could be consistent enough to really maybe try and fight for a podium finish. Starting in second place really boosted my ego going in here. I don't know why, everything just felt like it was going real smooth for this track, and I kind of expected really good
luck, everybody. Please play nice.
Really good results. So here's the green flag, and we're going down into turn 1 here. Turn 1 is a hairy thing at Watkins Glen. You can make some bonsai moves, and out here I'm going to make an accidental bonsai move. He brakes, I don't know, much earlier than I expected him to, and I guess I kind of braked a little later than I should have. Messed me up, missed him, but the last thing I want to do is take out the leader on the first turn, the first lap. So I end up losing a couple positions there. But I settle into a nice little open spot here. That's okay. I'd much rather be in a spot I'm comfortable in than trying to push hard right at the start, because that's not what endurance racing is about. So the 2 cars in front of me here are 2 that qualified, and they actually qualified at a slower time than me. So I was really expecting to be faster than them and catch up to them and pass them. And I was kind of driving the car underdrive. I was kind of underdriving the car to the point where it was throwing me offline and making me slower than I really anticipated to be. Of course, being an 80-minute race, I started the race with 18.4 gallons in the car, which is quite a bit, but I had tried to calculate it out where it would be just short of halfway. So that's the most fuel I have run in the car. I unfortunately did not run with this much fuel in practice, and that is something I definitely learned is a mistake. After running behind these guys for a little while, I start to notice the 12 car missing some apexes and actually got offline there. And honestly, I really could have passed him here. See, I way off the throttle. I definitely could have made a nice clean pass there, but I was a little too nervous about making moves this early. Which is great in the way that, I've always got the mindset that I need to stay out of trouble. But now, 2 laps into the race, I'm already 5 seconds behind the leader because I'm being so conservative. So you can see there, he's running wide, he's in the grass again. I'm still not really catching him. I'm pushing harder than I was at this point. At 3, the tires are warm, everything's as it should be. And it's about now that I realize something's just not the same about the car. It doesn't seem like it has that same kind of feel to it. Like I can't push it like I want to.
Thanks for keeping it clean, Jonathan.
Hear a little bit of a battle going on behind me there, and only 4 laps in, I've got the 9 car coming up on me, and he's running about 2 seconds a lap quicker. So there's an instance of somebody that was really fast but didn't qualify. But I let him go here, no harm, no foul. What I'd like to do here is try and hug behind the 9 car and sneak past the 12 to pass him. So especially through that turn, I'm really noticing that I can't keep the throttle, I can't get to the apex in the same way that I was in practicing qualifying. A real big delay between me getting to the apex and getting back to the throttle. 149.9 there, and honestly, the high 149 range was the best I could get the car to do while driving comfortably. The 9 has already gapped me by a ton and is trying to get by the 12. An excellent move by him. That's probably the ideal passing spot here in my opinion, because if you can get, I would say, past the front wheel of the car in front of you, the person you're trying to pass has to give up, or they're going to wreck going into the bus stop. Here, second place car, hit the wall pretty good. Pretty good avoidance. Everybody came through pretty clean. Now in my mind, all of a sudden it's thinking, oh, if I can get by this 12 car, that would put me in a podium position. And that's really what I'm fighting for in this race. Here we've got the 7 car who has caught me up, and I was thinking to myself that primarily the reason for that was I was trapped behind this 12 car and he was holding me up. So I'm going to try that same move that the 9 made. He does give up. He does surrender the position. I kind of screwed up going through the bus stop. A little bad about how that played out because I don't know, it wasn't a very clean pass. I ended up having to basically block him down through here in order to make the clean pass. But you can see I was able to get away from him pretty quickly. So I'd say, if anything, what that really taught me was I need to work on not letting battling other cars or people affect how I'm racing the track. So the next lap, bad turn through the bus stop again. The 7 car actually catches me in a hurry. I mess up the apex, and I feel kind of terrible about that. It was my slow apex that caused him to probably have to check up and lose control. So if you're out there, I'm sorry about that. That's kind of racing. You have to be aware of what your competitors are doing just as much as you are yourself. But again, I still feel bad for ruining someone else's race. So from here, for a pretty good long while, me and the 12 car are just going to run in lockstep. You know, he'll run a faster lap, I'll run a faster lap. But only about 15 minutes into a 80-minute race at this point. I'm already starting to kind of consider the fuel mileage and how my pit stop is going to play out. Kind of expected to leave the 12 car here. That never really happens. Is 10 laps into the race. DP cars are already starting to lap us. And at Watkins Glen, the DP cars are dramatically faster down these straightaways, but in the turns I don't feel as though they have as big of an advantage. So it leaves pretty good opportunities to let them by going down the straightaways here. It's like a little bit of a loose car there. Time it to let these guys go down the straightaway here. That works for the leader. But the second place car is now coming up on me through the S's. That's not a place to be too wide. The 12 car actually uses the DP as a pick to get by me. Which to me is kind of, it's not my favorite kind of passing opportunity. But I didn't challenge the issue too much. I could have pushed harder and gotten right back behind the 4 cars that passed me and not let him do that. Now I'm looking at the fuel mileage. I'm trying to figure out if I can make another lap, because I want to get as close to the halfway mark as possible. I know that I have to take more fuel than I started with, so I do put a couple more gallons in here. Or ask them to. And even all that, I get a good run on the 12 car, but not enough to make that move stick. And in the back of my head, I know I'm going to be pitting soon, so passing him would be pretty fruitless anyway. There. I don't know if maybe he was thinking of the same things, trying to calculate his fuel mileage. The fuel light comes on there, and I decide not to push it, and I'm going to go ahead and pit on this lap. Nice. Open entry to pit road. Pit limiter on. No issues there. So first pit stop is a success. And I decided to even throw 3 more gallons into the car because I was really feeling I was going to be short. Sit down into the pit box. I am going to take tires just because I needed so much fuel that I felt I had plenty of time, and I ended up having plenty of time to do so. Man, putting 23 gallons in the car takes a long time. And reality, I should have started with a full tank and taken as little as possible on the pit stop. So finally, 40 seconds later, we're back underway. Just trying to get an idea of how I am spacing-wise. Don't want to come out of pit road there and be in somebody's way. But I ended up in a really nice little open spot there. But now I'm carrying even more fuel than I was, and the car really starts to feel sluggish. Kind of expect on these outlaps with cold tires and a full fuel load that it's not going to handle like it was. For whatever reason, I don't know if maybe extra fuel load the setup didn't account for that and it made some kind of weird suspension geometry, but it made the car it had too much of a under compression. The suspension was compressed very squirrely, both in the front and the back. It just felt like the whole car was kind of moving around. So many laps later, here come the DP cars again. I actually get all the way off track because I had messed up a little bit. Here comes the GT leader to come lapping. GT leader now is the 9 car, who I had let pass earlier, and for good reason. I kept doing that in turn 1 for some reason too, and I don't know why that is. And I kept over-apexing that turn. You don't want to be on that curb. I know you don't want to be on that curb. But for some reason it just kept happening. But at this juncture, post pit stop, still top 5, so basically all I have to do is get the car home and I know I'm in line for a pretty good finish. And the 6 have not been anywhere near my lap time, so I figure if I can run 149 for the rest of the race, I'll be set. And thinking that the 2 cars in front of me still have to pit, so I was hoping that maybe I would come out somewhere near them. For the first time doing an 80-minute race, and I've done endurance racing in the past and Went for Speed where we did 4-hour stints. For some reason, this car or this game, it's much more physically demanding, and I was honestly getting tired even at this point. I don't think it was necessarily that it's physically exhausting, it's more mentally exhausting than anything. You got the 9 car pitting leader, and it started getting to me, and I started noticing that I was not focusing on the line like I should have been. It doesn't help that due to work restraints, I've been doing these races at about midnight, which is why the car counts have been down. Definitely need to start trying to get in the earlier in the week races, earlier in the day. So not a whole lot happens from pit stop up until getting close to the end. I'm really running by myself, just kind of pacing. basically all alone on the track. I start to notice something is not right. And that something is that for some reason I'm still not having enough fuel to make it to the end, even adding all of that fuel. So I do something that I haven't messed with before, and I change the engine map to 2, which means fuel saving. You can definitely feel it in the car. You kind of put the gas down and it sounds a little bit more flat. But overall, it didn't affect my lap times by too much. And I had 5-second gap to the car behind me, so I was anticipating being able to save enough fuel. I was only about half a lap short. But for whatever reason, that ends up not being the case. And here we are, pretty close to the end, and I've still not got enough. I'll show them 1 lap, and I'm thinking there's at least 2 laps left at this point. So I'm really just kind of taking it easy. Got a big gap to the car behind me. I believe there's a GT coming up on me. But once again, going so slow, I'm driving what I would call recklessly. I'm not following the apex of the turns and such because I think I'm going so slowly. And 75 minutes into an 80-minute race, I finally spin out, right in front of the leaders. Thankfully, nobody involved. It takes me a while to get back on track.
Alright, man, that car is a lap down.
And with the white flag out, I'm going to have to come into pit road and get a splash of fuel. Frantically going through the keys to set up the pit stop. Pretty disappointed at this point. Like I said, I really expected to do better in this race, and once again, fuel bit me in the butt, so I've got to figure out how to calculate fuel mileage better. But more than anything, more than the fuel miscalculations or the spin, it was my overall pace in the race that was really the most disappointing. I never even ran a 148 lap. So pretty much from here, I'm just going to limp home. Locked into 6th place, I can't fall down to 7th, and all I have to do is cross the line. But overall, for my first completed endurance race, I wouldn't call it a failure. Again, still learning a whole lot about how this kind of racing works. Do need to work on my race setups to make sure that they handle well both with full fuel and in light fuel situations. And I need to work on my strategies because, as it turns out, I was only getting about 60% wear on tires in a full race distance, so I could have not taken tires, and definitely should have maxed out the amount of fuel I had in that car. But there's only one way to learn stuff like that, and that's to try it. So this season, this is the only endurance race that I'll be doing. There are...
As soon as Kevin said he spun, I blew it in the bus stop during next lap. Yeah, I saw your time coming down. Same thing I did when I bust Croyd. It was close, but I couldn't catch you.
We'll get him next time.
And that was a great battle up until the pit stop. Man, I was exhausted halfway.
So there's only 4 weeks left in this season. I'm planning on doing next week. I'm going to go back down to the Grand Touring Cup because they're sprint races. They're Watkins Glen next week, the Cup version, which is my favorite track. And I want to kind of, I don't know, try and get my confidence back and be in a race where I feel I can be real aggressive. And I don't know, I just thought it would be a fun little change since I'm not doing a full season in a series this time around. I figure that I kind of have the liberty of doing some different things like that. So here's the results. Pretty good bump in safety rating, a little bit of a bump in iRating. Decent amount of points. It could have been better, but decent amount of points. But that does it for this episode, and it does it for this week. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for next week.